To discuss this and more, I'm joined here in Sydney by 2GB radio host Luke Grant and from Melbourne by the Director of Policy at the IPA, Gideon Rosner. How are you both, gents?
Evening, very well.
Very well, Rowan.
Great to see you both. So, Luke, not a lot of support for the Andrews government's decision to go ahead with the Australian Open on Facebook. What do you think?
Well, I understand why people, particularly in Victoria, think that way. Some noise has been made today about the Test cricket in Sydney. These were about 30 cricketers and the supporting staff who'd been in Australia for some time. They had to cross the state border. And the way of the tennis, of course, you've got thousands of people coming from various parts of the world. And even though there's been testing, what happened? Well, you know, we are where we are. So I think many Australians would again look at this and say, you know what, if you're an average Australian wanting to get about, an average Australian wanting to get home, you know, tough luck there. If you're a tennis player or if you're a movie star or a musical performer, welcome to Australia. Have a nice day. Just quickly, Rowan, on Anastasia Palaszczuk, people that listen to me didn't need to hear that from Anastasia today. They've worked it out already. They've had a holiday cancelled once and then again, and then they write to me and they say, Luke, no more. The premiers are out of control, mate, but we knew that, didn't we?
Absolutely. Gideon, we also learned today that the quarantine worker infected with COVID was infected with the virulent, the deadly new UK strain, which is the latest thing on, on the brand new pack of terror. A review of the CCTV, however, does not tell us anything about how he caught the virus. You're a young man about town in Melbourne. Any thoughts on how it happened?
Oh, well, look, Rowan, we eliminated the coronavirus here. Dan Andrews eliminated it with his bare hands by using lockdowns and that Dan magic. So I wouldn't be able to tell you much about how anybody got the coronavirus. But look, this is a weird saga, and you watching it, you have to. You can't feel anything other than they're just making it up as they go along. First, there was the idea here in Melbourne of the virus spreading across through a hotel door, over a corridor. It's so convoluted I can't quite remember it. And in WA there was the confusion over how the infected hotel quarantine worker got it there. I wish for a change a lot of these people would say we don't know, rather than having to come up with these perverse theories that make no physiological sense.
Turning to another issue, a British clergyman has savaged the commemoration of the death of Captain Sir Tom Moore, the World War II veteran who raised millions for the UK National Health Service and who Peter Credlin interviewed here a couple of times on this show. The Reverend Gerald Robinson Brown tweeted that, wait for this, the cult of Captain Tom is a cult of white British nationalism. Luke, if Captain Tom is a symbol of white supremacy, I'm Jimi Hendrix. Is anything or anyone not racist these days?
No, Muhammad Ali. I mean, seriously, here's a bloke looking for relevance. I know. Let's find someone that the world loves, because this elderly gentleman, so frail, thought so much of others, he'd go about raising 32 million quid. 32 million quid. He passes so sadly, and this guy thinks I can be a star now. You're not a star, you're a goose. And to treat the passing of this man as some kind of cliche from the left textbook is a damn disgrace. We almost shouldn't be talking about him, but you've got to call these morons out. Absolutely appalling, Rowan.
Absolutely. And someone who's called the morons out, Gideon, is Olivia Newton-John, who's spoken out against the woke critics of the iconic musical Grease. They claimed that Grease was racist or misogynist or whatever. They made it all up. But she said no, she called it out. Your thoughts, Gideon?
Look, I commend Olivia Newton-John for stating the bleeding obvious. Of course you can't take a film that's over 40 years old and apply 21st century woke standards to it. And that's partly because the standard of what's acceptable politically and what's not is constantly changing. I don't know where the line or the limit is anymore. Nobody does. So good on Olivia Newton-John for standing past this piece of work, because we've seen far sillier things happen, for example, on streaming platforms with films like Dumbo and Peter Pan and all these classics getting warning labels on them, things that I grew up with, frankly. I didn't see anything wrong with them. Have warning labels and disclaimers being put on them because there are slight microaggressions and racial infractions that would have had no bearing on the time in which they're made and now being manufactured by the woke and very noisy left now. So good on Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, exactly, good on her. Both Gideon and Luke, we've only got a second or two left, but this amused me. The head of the Tokyo Olympics has rejected calls to resign. Well, he was asked to resign because he said that women speak too much in meetings. So he's the 83-year-old Yoshiro Mori, suggested that increased female representation in sporting bodies was a bad idea because meetings including women, quote, drag on. So let me get the two of you in all sorts of trouble. So I'm going to ask you both a very short answer. Gideon, you sit in lots of meetings. Do women drag on? Here you go, mate. No,
Rowan. Look, I know plenty of people who drag on in meetings. I've been through plenty of meetings where people drag on. There is no correlation with gender that I've observed. But look, can I say about this bloke, actually, I feel very sad for him because he's 83, former Prime Minister, obviously from a different time, but his lifelong dream has been presiding over the Olympic Games in Tokyo. And now it looks like he may not get to do it because of some... and he's digging his heels in and holding on, but he might not get to do it because of some sort of, silly comment he made offhand. So, look, I hope he digs in and I hope he gets to see his dream come to fruition.
And Luke, I won't ask you that one, Luke, but just very quickly, Catherine Lumby and the controversy over whether Pacific Islanders are allowed to be rude to the police. What were your thoughts on that, very quickly?
Oh, please. Gideon, I'd wag school to attend the first screening of Grease in Australia 40 years ago. Thanks, Gideon. I didn't need that reminder. For 40 years, I've been carrying around the pain of a woman in tight black clothing, singing songs like Hopelessly Devoted to You. And you want me to talk about the Pacific Islands? I can't do it, mate. I'm sorry. You're too good for me. Sorry, Jimi Hendrix.
Fantastic. Luke Grant and Gideon Rosner, thanks so much for coming on Credlin this evening.
Thanks, mate.